The alien mother sat in the ruins of her broken home. The wind blew through the empty walls, carrying dust and silence. She held her daughter close, wrapping thin arms around the small body. The child was weak, her stomach empty, but her eyes still bright. The mother looked at those eyes and felt a sharp pain in her heart. She wanted to give her daughter food, safety, and laughter. But all she had was hunger and fear. Her world had once been alive. The alien people had farms, markets, and families. Songs filled the night air. Children played under the red sun, but now all of that was gone. The war had ended, leaving ruins and broken hearts. Many of her kind had died. Some had run to other worlds. She had stayed because of her child. She could not travel. She could not fight. She could only try to survive. Every day was the same. She searched for food among the rocks. Sometimes she found roots, sometimes old fruits dried to dust. She shared everything with her daughter, even if it meant her own stomach stayed empty. At night she told the child stories of when life was kind. She hoped the little one would dream of brighter days, even if reality was only darkness. The child, small and innocent, did not understand the full weight of their suffering. She only knew her mother loved her. She smiled even when her belly ached. She placed her tiny hand on her mother's cheek and whispered, "Mama, don't be sad. We still have each other." Those words cut deeper than hunger. The mother kissed her forehead and closed her eyes, hiding her tears. But inside she was breaking. She was a widow now. Her mate had died in the war, leaving her with a child and nothing else. The loneliness was like a shadow that never left. She carried grief in her chest, heavy like stone. Each night when her daughter slept, she sat awake, staring at the sky. The stars looked cold. She wondered if anyone out there cared. There was another pain that haunted her: fear. Humans had settled near the ruins. Their colony was small but strong. She had seen them from a distance, tall figures in armor, holding weapons. They looked at her kind with distrust, even hatred. Stories spread that humans killed aliens who came too close. The mother avoided them. She could not risk her daughter's life. Yet she knew deep inside that humans had food, medicine, and shelter, if only she could ask them for help. But how could she? She was a stranger, a widow, an alien. Would they even see her as a mother trying to protect her child? Or would they only see an enemy? The thought kept her away. Better to starve slowly than to risk death at human hands. Still, hunger was cruel. It pushed her each day closer to the edge. The child grew thinner. Her laughter faded. She asked simple questions. "Mama, why is there no bread? Why is the water bitter? Why can't we live in the city like before?" The mother had no answers. She only whispered, "Be patient, little one. I will find a way." One evening, as the red sun sank low, the mother walked farther than before. She carried her child in her arms, searching. The wind was sharp, cutting her skin, but she kept moving. Her feet hurt, but she ignored the pain. She could not stop. The girl's breathing was slow, tired. The mother's heart raced. If she did not find something soon, she would lose the only treasure she had left. At the edge of the ruined city, she paused. In the distance, lights glowed. Human lights. A colony strong and alive. She smelled food carried on the wind. Fresh bread, roasted meat, and clean water. Her throat burned at the scent. Her body shook with longing. For a moment, she imagined walking forward, knocking on their gates, begging for help. She imagined a kind hand reaching out, sharing bread with her child. But the vision broke when she remembered the guns, the armor, the cold eyes of soldiers. She stepped back, clutching her daughter tighter. No, it was too dangerous. The child stirred in her arms. Half asleep, she whispered, "Mama, humans are not all bad. Maybe one of them will help us." The mother froze. The words were soft, but they shook her. A child still had hope where she had none. Could it be true? Could there be one human who would see her not as an enemy but as a mother? She did not know, but her daughter's innocence planted a seed inside her heart. That night she returned, to the ruins. The stars above shone bright, silent witnesses to her suffering. She lay down with her child, pulling her close. Her mind was restless, her heart torn between fear and hope. For the first time in many months, she dared to imagine something different. She dared to imagine that tomorrow might bring more than hunger and sorrow. She dared to imagine that someone, perhaps even a human, might see her pain and reach out. She closed her eyes, whispering into the darkness, "I will not give up. Not for her." The mother did not know it yet, but her life was about to change. The walls of fear would soon be tested. The bond between alien and human would be challenged. And love, stronger than hunger, stronger than war, was waiting just beyond the horizon. The night was cold, and the alien mother sat close to the small fire she had built from broken wood. The flames were weak, but they gave a little light in the darkness. Beside her, her daughter rested, her thin body wrapped in a piece of cloth too small to keep the cold away. The child's eyes looked up at the stars with wonder, not fear. She pointed at the shining sky and whispered, "Mama, maybe someone up there is watching us." The mother did not answer. She looked at her daughter and felt her chest tighten. The girl was too young to understand how cruel the world could be. She still believed in miracles. The mother, however, had seen too much loss to believe so easily. Yet she could not kill the hope in her child's heart. For days the girl had been talking about the humans. She had seen them from far away, building homes, cooking food, and carrying clean water. Her little mind could not understand why her mother feared them. "They look like us, Mama," she said often. "They have children too. Maybe they will share with us." The mother shook her head each time. She knew better. Humans did not trust aliens. To them she was dangerous, a threat. And yet, her daughter's words lingered. They clung to her heart like seeds of possibility. That night, as the wind howled, the child crawled into her mother's lap and asked a question that cut deep. "Mama, why do humans not help us? Are we too different? Don't they see I'm just a little girl?" The mother hugged her tightly, hiding her tears. "It is not your fault, little one. Sometimes people are afraid of what they don't know. Sometimes fear is stronger than kindness." The girl was silent for a moment, her small face pressed against her mother's chest. Then she said something that startled her. "Maybe if they see us as family, they will not be afraid. Maybe if one of them became part of us, we would not be alone." The mother blinked, shocked. "What do you mean, child?" The little girl looked up, her eyes shining with innocence. "What if a human became your husband, Mama? Then he would be my father. Then they could not hate us. We would be one of them." The mother's breath caught. She stared at her daughter, speechless. The idea was wild, impossible. She had lost her mate in the war. Her heart had been buried with him. The thought of another partner, especially a human, was something she had never imagined. And yet the child's words painted a picture in her mind, a picture of safety, of belonging. A picture where her daughter laughed again, not hungry but happy. She quickly pushed the thought away. "Do not speak such things," she whispered. "Humans would never want us. They would never take me as their own." But the girl, stubborn and innocent, shook her head. "Not all humans are the same, Mama. Maybe one is kind. Maybe one is brave. You always tell me to dream, don't you? This is my dream." The mother fell silent. She rocked her child gently, listening to the wind outside. Deep in her heart, she knew her daughter's words were foolish, but at the same time there was a strange warmth in them. Children had a way of seeing what adults could not. Perhaps, just perhaps, there was truth hidden in her wish. The next day, the mother woke early and set out to search for food again. She carried her daughter on her back. As they walked through the ruins, the child's words echoed in her ears. "Maybe one human is kind." She shook her head, but her steps slowed as she neared the edge of the human colony. Smoke rose from their fires. The smell of fresh bread made her mouth water. Her daughter tapped her shoulder and whispered, "Mama, can we go closer? Maybe someone will see us." Fear gripped her heart. She could not risk it. She turned away quickly, her hands trembling. "No, it is too dangerous." The child sighed but said nothing more. Still, the look in her eyes was not sadness. It was determination. She held on to her dream as if it were more real than the ruins around them. That evening, as they sat under the broken roof of their shelter, the girl leaned close and whispered, again, "Mama, one day I will find the human who will help us. One day you will not be alone." The mother stroked her daughter's hair, torn between fear and hope. She wanted to protect her from disappointment, but she could not deny the small flame her child had lit in her heart. For the first time in many years, the alien widow wondered if love and kindness might still exist, even in the most unlikely place. She closed her eyes, listening to her daughter's steady breathing as she drifted into sleep. A single thought lingered in her mind, unshakable and strange. What if the child is right? What if somewhere, in the heart of a human, there is room for us? She did not know it yet, but her daughter's innocent wish would soon set events into motion that would change their lives forever. The night was silent, broken only by the sound of the alien mother's footsteps on the dry earth. She carried her daughter close to her chest, her heart beating faster with every step. Hunger had forced her to come closer to the human colony than ever before. The smell of cooked food drifted through the air, making her body weak with longing. The mother stopped at the edge of the ruins, hiding in the shadows. In front of her stood tall walls built by humans, glowing with strange lights. She saw their guards walking on top, holding weapons that gleamed like fire under the moonlight. One wrong step and they would see her. One wrong move and death could come. Her daughter stirred and whispered, "Mama, don't be afraid. Maybe they will help." The mother tightened her grip. Fear and doubt battled inside her. She wanted to run, to hide. But hunger was louder than fear. For her daughter's sake, she decided to take one more step forward. Then it happened. A sharp voice shouted from the wall, "Stop! Who goes there?" The mother froze. Bright lights flashed, burning her eyes. Weapons pointed down at her. She could feel the heat of their power. She pulled her daughter closer, shielding her with her own body. The guard shouted again, "Alien, step back or we shoot." Her heart raced. She knew this was the end. She thought of running, but her legs felt like stone. Her child clung to her, shaking but silent. Then something unexpected happened. Among the soldiers, one man stepped forward. His voice was calm, steady, different from the others. "Hold your fire," he said. His words were not a shout, but they carried weight. The soldiers hesitated. Their fingers still rested on their triggers, but they lowered their aim slightly. The man leaned closer over the wall, his eyes fixed on the mother. He saw her trembling body, her thin arms wrapped around the child. He saw not a monster, not an enemy, but a mother protecting her little girl. "Who are you?" he asked, his tone softer now. The mother could not answer. Her throat was dry, her voice locked by fear. She wanted to say, "I am no threat. I only want food for my child." But the words would not come. The child, however, lifted her head. In a small but clear voice, she said, "We are hungry. Please don't hurt us." The silence that followed was heavy. The guards looked at each other, unsure. Some muttered, "It's a trick. She's dangerous." Others frowned, uneasy. Oh, man kept staring. Something stirred inside him. Something the others could not understand. He had seen battle. He had seen hatred, but never had he seen such pure fear in a mother's eyes. He saw her hands trembling, not with anger, but with desperation. "Put down your weapons," he ordered. The other soldiers protested. "But sir," I said, "put them down." His voice was firm, leaving no room for argument. One by one, the soldiers lowered their guns, though their eyes stayed sharp with suspicion. The man climbed down from the wall and approached the gate. He opened it slowly and stepped outside, into the night where danger might await. The mother watched, frozen, every muscle tight. The human walked closer, his hands open to show he carried no weapon. His eyes never left hers. "I will not harm you," he said softly. "Tell me, why are you here?" The mother swallowed hard, struggling for words. Finally, she whispered, "Food. For my child." The man's expression changed. He looked at the little girl in her arms, saw the hollow cheeks, the weak body. His chest tightened. He reached into the small bag he carried and pulled out a piece of bread. Slowly, carefully, he stretched out his hand. The mother hesitated. Her instinct screamed not to trust. Yet her daughter's wide eyes were fixed on the bread, her tiny fingers twitching with need. With trembling hands, the mother took the food. She broke it in half and gave the larger piece to her daughter. The girl bit into it quickly, her face lighting up with joy. For the first time in weeks, the sound of her laughter touched the air. Diao, human man, smiled faintly, though the others behind him muttered in disapproval. He ignored them. He looked at the mother again and said quietly, "You are not my enemy." The mother stared back, her mind torn between fear and confusion. Why was this human different? Why did he not hate her? She did not know it yet, but this night was the beginning of something neither she nor the human had ever imagined. A single act of kindness had broken the wall between them. Suspicion still hung heavy in the air, but the first crack had been made. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if watching the fragile bridge forming between two broken hearts. One alien, one human. The days after the first meeting were filled with silence, yet something inside the alien mother had changed. She no longer looked at the human colony only with fear. Somewhere in those walls was a man who had lowered his weapon. Somewhere behind those gates was the stranger who had given bread to her daughter. Her child, however, was not silent. Each night she asked, "Mama, will he come again? The man with kind eyes?" The mother would hush her, yet she could not stop thinking of him either. Fear and gratitude wrestled in her heart. The human man had returned to his colony that night, but his thoughts followed him. He sat among his fellow soldiers, but their laughter sounded hollow. He looked at their plates full of food and saw the little girl's starving face. He could not forget the way her mother's arms had shielded her. He could not forget the trembling voice that had whispered, "Food for my child." On the second night, he made a choice. Quietly, without telling the others, he slipped a small package of food into his bag and left the safety of the walls. His steps were cautious, his heart racing, but his resolve was firm. The alien mother noticed him first. Her instincts screamed to run. But when the child saw the familiar figure, she gasped and rushed forward before her mother could stop her. "He came back," the girl cried. The human stopped at a safe distance and knelt on the ground. Slowly, he placed the package before him and stepped back. His movements were careful, almost like someone approaching a wild animal. He knew any sudden action could break the fragile thread of trust. The mother hesitated. Her pride resisted, but her daughter's hunger won. She walked forward, lifted the package, and stepped back quickly. The child opened it, eyes glowing at the sight of fruit and bread. The man watched quietly, a faint smile touching his face. He saw how the girl's laughter lit up the ruins, filling the empty night with warmth. Then his gaze shifted to the mother. She did not smile. She studied him like one studies a storm, dangerous, unpredictable. "Why?" she finally asked. Her voice was sharp, suspicious. "Why risk this? Why help us?" The man hesitated. He had no simple answer. "Because you are not my enemy," he said at last. "I saw a mother protecting her child. That is something every world understands." The words unsettled her. She had been taught that humans only hated. Yet here was one speaking of mothers and children, not war and death. The days passed, and the visits continued. Each time the man brought a little food, sometimes clean water. The child grew stronger, her laughter returning like sunlight after a storm. She began to ask him questions, bold and innocent. What is your name? Do you have children? Why do humans build such high walls? He answered as best he could, sometimes smiling, sometimes quiet. The mother listened in silence, her mistrust slowly bending into curiosity. But whispers spread inside the human colony. Soldiers noticed food missing. Rumors rose. Someone is feeding the alien widow. Suspicion pointed at the man. His comrades warned him, "Stay away from her. She is dangerous. She is the enemy." He said nothing in reply, but his silence was louder than denial. He kept walking out at night, following the pull in his heart. The mother noticed the change in his eyes. Sometimes he looked over his shoulder, wary, as if danger followed him. She wanted to ask him to stop. She wanted to say, "Do not risk your life for us." But each time her daughter's smile stopped her. Each time she remembered how fragile hope was and how easily it could vanish. One night, as they sat together in the ruins, the child offered him a piece of the fruit he had brought. "For you," she said with a grin. The gesture was small, but it broke the wall of distance. He accepted it, biting into the fruit with a soft laugh. For a moment, the ruins did not feel empty. For a moment, they were not alien and human, widow and soldier. They were simply three souls sharing food under the stars. Yet shadows of fear lingered. The mother's heart still held questions. Could this kindness last? Would the humans punish him? Would her people, if any remained, see her as a traitor? She looked at him in the flickering firelight. He was not like the others. His eyes carried a weight she could not name, a sorrow that matched her own. She wondered what he had lost in the war. Curiosity whispered louder now than fear. She wanted to know him. She wanted to understand why he risked everything for her and her child. The human looked back at her, and in that silent exchange, something fragile was born. Not trust, not yet. But a question, unspoken, dangerous, powerful. What if enemies could become something more? The days of secret meetings had turned into weeks. Hunger no longer pressed on the alien child's face the way it once had. Her laughter had returned, small but bright, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Each night she waited eagerly, certain the human man would come. The mother, however, carried a storm in her heart. Gratitude pulled her one way, fear pulled her another. She wanted to protect her child, but she also wanted to protect the man who risked his life for them. Every time he placed food in her hands, she wondered, why is he doing this? What does he truly want? The human man himself asked no reward. He came quietly, always careful, always watchful. He would sit a short distance away, sharing stories in a low voice. Sometimes he spoke of his childhood, sometimes of battles he regretted. The child listened with wide eyes, asking questions that made him smile. The mother listened too, though she rarely spoke. Her heart was slowly learning something she had long forgotten, how to hope. One evening, as the stars spread across the sky, the child sat between them, her eyes bright with mischief. She looked at the man, then at her mother, and suddenly asked, "Why don't you marry my mama?" The mother gasped, her face burning. "Child, what nonsense is this?" She pulled the girl close, but the little one wriggled free. The man froze, caught between shock and confusion. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. The child crossed her arms, stubborn as always. "It makes sense," she said boldly. "If you marry my mama, then you will be my father. Then we will be safe. No one will hurt us, because we will be your family." The silence that followed was heavy. The fire crackled. The wind moved through the ruins, but neither adult spoke. Finally, the mother whispered, her voice sharp with shame, "Do not speak of such things. He is human. We are not." Such a bond is impossible. But her daughter's innocent eyes did not waver. She looked at the man again. You are kind. You saved us. Mama is lonely. Why not? The man stared at the child, then at the widow sitting, in silence. He saw the pain etched into her face, the weight she carried. He saw her arms tighten protectively around her daughter, as if the very idea of marriage was dangerous. Yet, in her eyes, there was something else too. Something unspoken, fragile, trembling. He cleared his throat. His voice was calm but serious. Little one, marriage is not simple. It is more than food, more than safety. He paused, his gaze shifting to the mother. It is trust. It is choosing to stand together when the world stands against you. The child smiled, certain of her answer. Then stand with us. The mother could no longer bear it. She stood quickly, turning away. Her heart raced, her chest tight. This is madness, she whispered. You risk enough already. Do not play with such dangerous dreams. But that night, as she lay awake, the words refused to leave her mind. Then stand with us. She remembered her mate, long gone, taken by war. She remembered the loneliness that had eaten her soul since then. She remembered how she had buried her heart under walls of fear. Yet here was a man, an enemy, who had broken through without force, only with kindness. The next time they met, the man was quiet. He brought food, but his eyes held a new weight. Finally, as the child played nearby, he spoke softly to the mother. Your daughter is brave, he said. Braver than us both. She sees no enemy in me, only a man who can help. Perhaps, she sees clearer than we do. The mother's breath caught. She wanted to deny it, to push the thought away, but her silence betrayed her. The man continued, his voice low but steady. I cannot promise safety. If my people find out, they will. Call me traitor. They may punish us both, but still. He looked at her directly, his eyes burning with sincerity. If you wish it, I will stand with you. I will not let you face this world alone. Her heart trembled. She had not asked for this. She had not dreamed of it. Yet now, faced with his words, she felt something she had not felt in years. Choice. The choice to stop being broken. The choice to accept love even from the most unlikely place. The child ran back to them, smiling wide. See, Mama, I told you, he will be with us. The mother pulled her close, hiding her face against her daughter's hair. Tears filled her eyes, not of sorrow this time, but of fear and hope mixed together. She whispered so softly only the man could hear. If this is truly your choice, then perhaps I am not as alone as I thought. And with those words a promise began. Not spoken in full, not sealed in ritual, but alive nonetheless. It was dangerous. It was impossible. But it was also the beginning of something stronger than fear. The night after the child's bold proposal hung heavy with silence. The mother could not sleep. Her daughter dreamed peacefully beside her, but the widow's heart raced with fear. Words she had tried to bury, marriage, family, together, echoed in her mind. For many days the human man continued his secret visits. Each time, the mother saw the same truth in his eyes. He meant what he had said. He would stand with them. Yet the danger grew sharper. Whispers inside the human colony had turned into suspicion, and suspicion was turning into anger. One evening, the soldiers confronted him. You disappear at night, one accused. We know where you go, another spat. She is the enemy. Feeding her is betrayal. The man did not argue. He only looked them in the eye and said, You see an enemy. I see a mother and her child. But whispers spread faster than truth. The colony buzzed with talk of punishment. Some demanded his arrest. Others feared his actions would invite danger. Fear was a strong chain, and it was tightening around them all. The mother sensed it. When the man came to her again, his shoulders were tense, his jaw firm. She asked softly, Why do you still come? They will turn against you. He met her gaze. Because some walls are worth breaking, even if the world calls it treason. The child listened quietly, her eyes wide. She understood little of politics, little of war, but she understood love. To her, the answer was simple: family. The breaking point arrived sooner than anyone expected. One night, the human colony called a gathering. Torches lit the square, voices rose in anger. The man stood in the center, accused by his own comrades. "You share food with her. You bring danger to us all," they shouted. "Choose your people or face exile." The mother heard the noise from afar. Fear clawed at her chest. She should stay hidden. It was safer. Yet her daughter tugged her hand. "Mama, we cannot let him stand alone." Against every instinct, the widow walked into the human square. Gasps spread through the crowd as she stepped into the firelight, her child clutching her side. Soldiers raised their weapons, but froze when they saw the little girl. The man turned. His eyes widened, not with fear, but with resolve. Here they were, mother, daughter, by his side. The choice was no longer hidden. It was alive, burning in front of everyone. One soldier growled, "See? She dares to enter our heart. Kill her, now." The man stepped forward, placing himself between the weapons and the widow. His voice rang out strong and clear. "Enough. You call her enemy. But what crime has she done? She asked for food to keep her child alive. If mercy is treason, then yes, I am guilty." The crowd erupted with shouts. Some screamed, "Traitor!" Others whispered uneasily, their eyes drawn to the child clinging to her mother's robe. The mother trembled. She had never stood before humans like this, never faced so many hostile eyes. Yet she saw the man standing tall, refusing to move, and something inside her broke free. For years she had lived in silence, hiding her pain. But tonight she found her voice. With shaking hands, she stepped forward. Her voice was soft at first, then steadier. "I am not your enemy. I lost my husband to the same war that stole your sons and brothers. I have nothing left but my child. I do not seek power. I do not seek harm. I only seek to live." Her words cut through the noise. The crowd quieted. They did not see a monster now. They saw a grieving widow, her child pressed close, her eyes filled with tears. Then the child did what no adult dared. She looked at the crowd and said in a clear voice, "He is my father now. He is our family. Please, don't take him away." The silence that followed was deeper than any shout. Soldiers shifted uneasily. Mothers in the crowd lowered their weapons. Even hardened men turned their faces away, unable to meet the child's innocent gaze. The man placed his hand on the mother's shoulder. His voice carried across the square, calm but unshakable. "I choose them. If that makes me an exile, then so be it. But remember this: walls built on fear cannot last. Only trust can keep us alive." No one spoke against him, not that night. The crowd slowly dispersed, divided, uncertain. Some still glared with anger, others walked away with troubled hearts. But the barrier had cracked. For the first time, the mother felt something more powerful than fear. Not safety yet, not peace, but possibility. The wall between human and alien had been challenged, not by weapons, but by courage. As dawn broke, she walked beside him, her daughter between them. The road ahead was dangerous, but their steps were steady. The world had called them enemies, but they had chosen something greater. Together. The night of the confrontation did not end the way anyone expected. No blood was spilled, no fire consumed the colony. Instead, silence fell like a heavy cloak. Some humans walked away with anger in their hearts, but others walked away thoughtful, shaken by the sight of a starving child clinging to her mother. The widow, her daughter, and the man left the square together. Their steps were slow, heavy with uncertainty. Yet there was something new in the air. A strange calm. For the first time, they were not hiding. For the first time, their truth had been spoken aloud. At the edge of the colony, the man turned to her. His voice was quiet, but firm. "You are not alone anymore. Whatever comes, I will face it with you." The mother lowered her eyes, her heart trembling. For so long she had carried grief like a shadow, but now, as her daughter's small hand slipped into hers and the man's steady presence stood beside her, the shadow felt lighter. The days that followed were uncertain. Some humans refused to accept the union. They whispered behind walls, calling it unnatural, dangerous. Yet others brought small gifts in secret, an old blanket, clean water, a loaf of bread. Not everyone was ready to see her as family, but the first cracks in the wall of hate had widened. The child noticed before anyone else. She giggled when a woman from the colony handed her a piece of fruit. She laughed when another child dared to wave from a distance. Innocence, stronger than politics, was slowly building bridges. The mother watched all this with cautious hope. Each time she saw kindness, her chest ached with gratitude. Each time she saw anger, fear twisted inside her. She knew the path ahead was not safe. Yet she also knew that for the first time, they were not walking it alone. One evening, as the red sun dipped low, the man stood before the gathered people once more. His voice was calm but steady, carrying into the quiet air. I do not ask you to love her as I do. I only ask you to see her as she is, a widow, a mother, a soul trying to survive. If our walls cannot protect kindness, then what do they protect? His words did not erase fear, but they planted doubt in its soil, and where doubt grows, change often follows. The widow, once silent, now found her voice too. She began to walk among the ruins with her daughter, no longer hiding in shadows. When she met human eyes, she did not look away. Sometimes she was met with anger, sometimes with indifference, but sometimes with the smallest of nods, small signs that fear was not absolute. The child, of course, was braver than them all. She called the man father openly. She laughed when he lifted her onto his shoulders. She held both their hands and declared proudly, "We are family now." Her innocent voice carried more power than any weapon, for it disarmed hearts where arguments could not. One night under the stars, the mother finally spoke the words she had buried deep. She turned to the man and whispered, "I thought I was broken forever. I thought love was only a memory. But you, and she, you gave me something I had lost. You gave me tomorrow." He took her hand gently, his eyes soft but steady. "And you gave me what I never knew I needed. Not victory, not survival, but a reason to believe again." They stood together, alien and human, widow and soldier, mother and child. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if the universe itself bore witness to their fragile bond. It was not the end of their struggles. Fear still lingered. Walls still stood. But something greater had begun. Love, unexpected, impossible, yet undeniable, had broken through. The little girl curled against her mother, her voice soft with sleep. "Mama, we are safe now, aren't we?" The widow kissed her forehead and whispered, "We are safe, because we are not alone." And so, a new beginning was written, not in the silence of ruins, nor in the violence of war, but in the courage of hearts willing to cross the distance between worlds.